It may be hard to believe in 2022, but on average, women are still making just 82 cents for every dollar to their male counterparts. For women of color, those numbers are even worse. But according to a recent survey by Harvard Business Review Analytics Services, sponsored by UKG, progress is being made and some employees are seeing it, but we still have work to do.
So how do employers move into the successfully achieved column when it comes to closing the wage gap? That's the big question here for us. Brian K. Reaves, Chief Belonging, Diversity and Equity Officer at UKG, and Melissa Thomas Hunt, the John Forbes Distinguished Professor of Business Administration at the University of Virginia, are joining us from Austin with some insights. Good morning, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so Brian, can you tell us some of the statistics from the recent survey?
Sure. Well, first of all, the study confirms what UKG believes, as well as what I personally believe, is this topic of pay equity is incredibly complex. And that's why at UKG, we like to think of the topic within our ecosystem of equity, whereby you need more than just equity of compensation. You also must have equity of representation, equity of opportunity, and equity of well-being in order to be successful at getting at some of the systemic issues we'll discuss today. Now, some of the stats that sort of jumped out to me, one primarily is 74% of executives view the pay equity topic as moderate or a high priority from a strategic perspective, but only 49% of the companies that they work for have pay equity plans in place. And then from an employee perspective, 71% of employees agree that this is an important topic that needs to be focused on, but only 41% of them believe their companies are doing anything around a plan, whether it's a good or bad plan. And 24% of those employees say their companies have no plan at all. And those numbers are lower for people of color.
Speaking of that, Melissa, how do race and gender impact pay negotiations and self-advocacy?
Yeah, that's a big one. There are two main buckets that we should think about. So the first one has to do with the access that individuals have to social capital, to networks, to actually understand what is normative in the way of negotiating. What can you ask for? How can you ask for? And do you have advocates in doing that? And it may be that women, relative to men, and people of color relative to white individuals may have less access to that information, and that may introduce some friction into their negotiations. But the second part of that is, even when individuals negotiate, you may find that that people of color and women may have more difficulty in those negotiations in getting what they want, but also they may encounter some backlash when they ask for things relative to when others ask for it. But the important thing to realize is that the onus really should be with the organizations to commit to pay equity and to understand where those inequities actually lie.
Yeah, and so Brian, how is UKG helping employers close that pay gap?
Yeah, along with what we're doing internally, and we would inspire other companies to think of this ecosystem of equity. We launched last year an initiative called Close the Gap, and it was our belief that it will take all of us to move forward in an accelerated journey towards pay equity. And what that program looks like is we made significant investment in philanthropic programs, as an example, an investment in Reboot Representation, which really speaks to equity of opportunity, as they are trying to double the number of Black, Latina, and Native American women with computer science degrees. We also made a significant investment in our partnership with the National Women's Soccer League, which is focused on sort of having pay equity between men and women in that great sport. So along with the study, we also have other educational resources, because we truly believe that all companies need to be on a journey towards pay equity for all.
And we can find more information on ukg.com/close the gap. Thank you so very much for being with us this morning. We appreciate all the great information.
Thank you.